Yeah. You're listening to Autodesk's Digital Builder Podcast, a show that inspires construction professionals to innovate and use technology to improve how they build our world. I'm Eric Thomas, and I've been working in construction for nearly a decade. And now I have the privilege to sit down with industry trailblazers to hear how they're solving construction's biggest challenges and redefining the future of the built environment. All right, and welcome to our first live episode of the Digital Builder Podcast. I am your host, Eric Thomas, and we are at Autodesk University, and I am with Jim Lynch, the Senior Vice President of Autodesk Construction Solutions. How are you doing today, Jim?
Eric, I could not be better. So excited to be at AU in person after a couple of years. I can barely sleep at night. I'm that excited to be here.
I felt the same way, although, the logistics of setting up all this fun stuff for everybody here in person has been a bit crazy, but it's so nice to see everybody again in person and meet a lot of people that we've had a chance to talk to, but actually never met. So we're here, we're doing it. It's the first day of the event. The keynote's going to happen here in a little bit. But before we start talking about AU, I wanted to ask, you're celebrating your 25th year at Autodesk, which is an incredible situation, and we're all very fortunate to have you leading our team. What would you say has been the most transformational thing you've seen in the construction industry in that time?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe it's been 25 years, and there have been a lot of transformations, I would say, over the years, for sure. I think if you go back to the early 2000s, the Revit and the role that Revit has played in the industry, BIM and the role that BIM has played in the industry, and more so, in the design and engineering space than in the construction space, though that is rapidly changing, and you'll hear us and you'll see us do a lot more in our portfolio around BIM. But that, I think, the movement of BIM has been one thing. I think over the last 5 years, honestly, the big transformation has just been how quickly our customers, how quickly the construction industry has embraced and adopted digital technology. I mean, it is moving at such a fast, lightning speed pace. Some of that brought on by COVID, but I think some of it just brought on by some of the challenges the industry is so desperately trying to overcome, getting more predictable, getting more profitable, getting more sustainable. I think all those things have caused just an acceleration of digital technology. So that's probably the biggest thing that I've seen over the last 5 years or so.
Yeah, I think that pivot to actual purpose-built tech for construction specifically is such a huge change. When I started working for general contractors a number of years ago, I remember we were, even just on the bid and proposal and estimating side, using things that weren't made for construction and forcing our way into these tools. And they made the workflows complicated, and they made them really, really difficult to manage all of the data flow. And so where we're sitting today is such a nice change and an improvement. But let's look back a little bit at your early career now. I know, what can you tell me about your first day at Autodesk versus what your typical day is like now?
Ooh. Oh boy, that's a walk down memory lane, Eric. So 25 years ago, I joined Autodesk in Portland, Oregon. That's where we were building a product that is now known as Inventor. At the time, it was codenamed Rubicon. No big secret there anymore. I was responsible for the part modeling technology within Inventor. And my days back then were about making sure that we had a clear vision for our part modeling solutions, and making sure that we had an achievable schedule, and that we had a motivated and energized product team to get the job done, and deliver on time. Fast forward to today, it's very, very different. We're in a very, very competitive market, so we are trying to move as quickly as possible in Autodesk Construction Solutions to make sure that we're not only competing, but we're exceeding our competitors. And so we're chasing the industry and delivering on not just what happens out on the job site, but in pre-construction planning, and making sure that we're connecting back to the design solution. So that's from a technology front. And then I think as we're essentially a unit within Autodesk, driving the business, making sure that we are by our customers' sides, that we're a part or seen as a partner, not just a technology vendor. So making sure that we have the teams available to help our customers adopt, and really put the technology to use. So I think today there's a lot of different things going on in my life that makes it kind of scales up from what I was doing 25 years ago.
And I think that's just such a great example for the opportunity that you can find at the company as well. I've been with Autodesk for 4 years now, and my job is very different than it was when we did the acquisition through PlanGrid. So with that in mind, what advice would you actually give somebody who just joined Autodesk and they're seeing this, they're at AU and getting to experience this? Anything you'd share those new employees to the team?
Yeah, I think a lot of things. By the way, people ask me, why 25 years at Autodesk? I think we've talked about this before. I give 3 answers. First and foremost are the people. The people here are just amazing, right? They're collaborative, they're motivated, they're driven, they're intelligent, but I really stress the collaborative piece. Number 2, career opportunities. I'll come back to that. And then number 3 is, the mission that we're on. I really get up every day excited about the fact that we are really helping to change an industry around the world for the better. But let me talk about the second piece, because I think that really goes to the question that you asked about what would I tell young folks. Well, certainly if you're here for the first time, just breathe it all in. It's just an amazing experience. I still remember my first Autodesk University, and by the way, it was half the size of this one. But it's just such an amazing experience, and you see what this company really is all about, and the mission that we have. And it's a mission across the company, not just in construction, but across the company, to make a better world, to help our customers make a better world. And so that in itself, embrace that vision. From a career standpoint, I would say the sky is the limit. Don't stop. Don't doubt yourself. Have confidence in your ability, but deliver on what you're committed, the commitments you make. Be collaborative, and just chase after those opportunities. I started, as I said, leading a part modeling team, and then I moved to the East Coast to help the company integrate an acquisition, something I had never done. Then I took over for the Revit organization, led that organization for years. I ran marketing for AEC for 6 or so years, and then now here I am leading Autodesk Construction Solutions, the whole business view. And so, if you had asked me when I joined Autodesk in 1997, is that your path forward? I would have looked at you like you had 2 heads. But I saw the opportunities and I went for them, and some of them I didn't get, but some of them I did get. So, my advice is, the opportunities are there. You said it yourself. Your job has changed. The opportunities are there. The company's going to continue to grow. Take advantage of that, and really embrace the opportunities in front of you.
I'm going to mirror that entirely, because like when I joined and PlanGrid got acquired, if you'd told me, I'd be on stage or have a podcast booth at Autodesk University doing what we're doing right now, I'd have laughed. But as the org has evolved and grown and our focus has changed, there's been a ton of opportunity, and it's been a real privilege and pleasure to be working here. So,
one thing I would say about that, Eric, and I think, I'm so proud of the acquisitions that we've done over the last 4.5 years. And when I think of PlanGrid in particular, the things that we Autodesk have learned from the PlanGrid acquisition and the PlanGrid team, yourself included. These are things we weren't doing a lot of podcasts before we acquired PlanGrid, and so I think you and others just brought a fresh way of thinking and approaching the market. So I've learned a ton from you and others.
Well, I appreciate that sentiment, and just giving us the opportunity to do things like this. I want to pivot our attention back to the customer for a minute.
Sure.
And you mentioned when we first started talking that Autodesk always tries to ensure that we're a partner for our customers, and not just simply a vendor of software and technology. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that actually means to you and the rest of the leadership team?
Yeah, listen, I'll talk a little bit about it on main stage tomorrow. I'm not gonna tilt the hat towards my main stage presentation. But it's true, every conversation I have with customers, it's not they're not just looking for a technology vendor. There's a lot of technology vendors out there. They're really looking for a true partner that is really, looking for a way to help them be successful and share in their success. So for me and my leadership team, and by the way, I think it reaches so deep into the organization. I am so proud of all the teams across ACS and how driven they are to want to serve the customer, whether it's customer success, whether it's the product team, whether it's a sales team, marketing team. Everybody is, and I really believe this, everyone is working in the service of the customer, and our customers notice it. Believe me, I get these emails that I'm really super proud of from customers saying, I had an interaction with so-and-so in the customer success team, and this person has done this, and your team is so professional and such a partner relative to some of your competitors who I won't name. So, I think it's part of the culture that we've all built, and it's one of the things I am most proud about. You'll hear tomorrow one of our main stage speakers in construction will talk about his journey with his customer success manager, and it's a great story, and it really is a reflection of what the whole organization believes and is doing. So something I'm super proud of.
I agree completely, and we've got a chance to speak to some of our customer success team later on today, and the things that they bring to the table for our customers are huge because they really understand the technology and they understand the problems and the challenges our customers are having, and many of them were either customers or worked in industry for a number of years, and so bringing that experience to the table has such a tremendous value. So I know you just said we don't want to give up the ghost on what's happening in our keynotes, but I am curious, what are you most excited about with being back in person for Autodesk University this year?
Without question, it's just a face-to-face interaction. I mean, I had dinner last night with one of our larger customers, BAM, from Europe. There were probably 18 of us, 12 of the customers and the rest Autodesk folks, and it was a long dinner. We could have talked all night. We got reacquainted because, I knew a lot of these guys. I knew them pre-COVID, met them face-to-face, met them during COVID. But just to be back in person, to first of all talk about, how's life, how are you, how's the family, and then talk about business and talk about their business challenges and talk about the progress they've made. I mean, just walking down the hall, just coming here, stopping and seeing customers and employees, by the way, that you haven't seen other than on Zoom for the past couple of years. So, I'm an extrovert. I like to see people. I like to talk to people. So for me, this is, I've waited, and many of us have waited a long time. But it's just the face-to-face interaction, and it's the excitement that I see on the faces of our customers and our employees, which is, really, really rewarding and something I really cherish.
I'm right there with you, Jim. After doing this for 2 years, and we launched Digital Builder tied to AU just over 2 years ago, which is crazy. We've met so many customers, and there's been so many people that I've had conversations with, and I'm running into a lot of them as I'm wandering around, and the expo hasn't even started yet. And I forget that I haven't met them in person because we've already had this rapport, and I've spoken with them so much. And so to really kind of bridge that gap and have those in-person conversations and really kind of deepen those connections, whether it's an internal one or something with our customers, is just a huge impact. And so I'm excited to see what else comes. I'm excited for the keynotes later on today and everything else.
Definitely.
But Jim, I know you're a busy man. I appreciate you coming and dropping by and having a quick conversation with us here. And for everybody out there listening, thanks for tuning in, and if you haven't been to AU in the past, make sure you come to one in the future because it's an absolute blast.
Or join virtually if you.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've learned from COVID now, so we do have a virtual element of the program. So that'll happen in the future. And if you're catching this now, check out all that content because it's there.
Eric, thanks for having me. Always happy to chat with you. I always enjoy it. So thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, Jim. Thank you.